It's hard to believe that it was 2 months ago, August 27th, when you and I first heard, hey, there might have been a mass shooting at a South Minneapolis school. My first reaction was, no, can't be. I'm going to wait because it can't be true. I don't want to be first. I want to be right. While that analysis was going on in my heart, in your heart, if you were following on social media and newsrooms all around the Twin Cities, the phones were ringing like crazy at the 911 dispatch center in Minneapolis. And one of those dispatchers is with us today. Chad Howard is in studio. Chad, it's good to see you.
Thanks.
A terrific story in the Minnesota Star-Tribune, in print on Sunday. It's been online over the weekend, called The Heroes of Annunciation. And Liz Sawyer spoke with a paramedic and a police lieutenant and just a number of different people that were a part of this process, including you. And that's why we asked you to come in. But take me to that morning, because you're just were you day shift, or was this near the end of your shift?
Nope, it was day shift. It started about 6:30 that morning. Just the regular morning. I was in fire dispatches. We have police dispatchers, fire dispatchers, call takers. It's a very segmented dispatch center, how it's set up. Was in fire dispatches, kind of shooting the breeze with my coworker. That was the primary fire dispatcher. I had the auxiliary channel. So if something major, like a structure fire comes in, I would take that fire. He'd do the regular dispatch stuff.
Sure.
Started noticing the phone board started to light up about 8:30 or so. I'm not really exactly quite sure what time it was. Didn't take the first call, didn't take the second call. Was just going through our morning routine, doing whatever. And he made a comment that, oh, this looks like an active shooter. And I thought to myself, that doesn't happen. I say, that can't be right. And then started notice that the phone board had lit up like a Christmas tree. And the last time I saw our phone board that way was during the riots, when it was just nonstop, just people calling us constantly for this, that, and everything else. And started taking some phone calls from callers and was trying to get whatever information I could get from them as far as like what was going on. And every call after call was just someone reporting hearing shots in the area of the school. And for that part of the city, it's not normally an area where we get a lot of shots calls. So
sure,
kind of just put more reality to it that, yeah, this is probably something that's real and happening. And
can you tell when there's a lot of calls from the same area, or the lines are lighting up, that, oh, this might be real?
Yep. Yeah. When the phone calls come in on our phone board, our CAD system, which is their computer aided dispatch, it's how all the calls are entered and how the dispatch center works. They'll start showing where the phone calls are coming in from, and on the phone map, it was just, everything was just centered kind of right down there around the school and around the church. And could tell that there was obviously something pretty major was going on down there. As far as what exactly it was, we weren't sure, but just tried to get that information from the callers as they called in and gave us what info they had.
When that happens, does your heart start racing, or we don't have too many of these like super major incidents, right?
Not so much. Part of the job is I have to stay calm, because if I'm amped up, that's not going to help anybody else. So best thing, is trying to stay calm, just talk the caller down. If they're amped up, try to get whatever information we can from them, what they're seeing, what they're hearing, smelling, where they're at in relation to where they think the event's happening. Just trying to get whatever useful information that I can help paint the best picture for those first responders.
Did you get any, you got I hear something that sounds like shots, but you also talked with a bystander who had a little more of a view of what was up, right?
So one of the callers I spoke to, like I said in the article, she was actually inside the sanctuary at the church, reporting that someone was shooting. She didn't know if they were inside or outside. I tried to talk to her. She was underneath the pews with her students. Just tried to get whatever info I could from her. Like, do you know where the shooter is? Do you see any victims? Anyone that needs medical? Just tried to get whatever useful info I could get from her. A couple other callers I spoke to were reporting seeing the shooter wearing all dark clothing, running down the side of the church. I'm not super familiar with what actually the area looks like, so I pulled up Google Maps, kind of zoomed that in and tried to get a street view, just to try to paint a better picture, like in my mind, as well as like
Mm.
for the responders to say like, all right, so he's in the courtyard. Well, where is the courtyard? Using
So
those
you can see it,
resources,
yeah.
just to try to paint a better picture in that call for the actual police dispatcher on the other side of the room that was
And then
talking.
are you typing it up or something?
Yep,
So somebody
typing the
else
calls
get
into the comment as best I can, where the caller's at, what they're seeing, what side of the building that person I thought was on, and then just trying to reference make the comments as clear as I can for the police dispatcher who was dispatching the event, and get that info out to the responders that were arriving.
Chad Howard is a 911 dispatcher who was on the clock that morning of the Annunciation Catholic school shooting. You know, I think about the fact that you live here, you're a neighbor, you're a human, and the humanity of what's happening, as you're processing and directing information, you do realize you're like, this is my community.
Yep.
How do you sort of keep it all, keep the emotions in check, I guess?
Probably the unhealthy habit of just packing it all away and moving on to the next call, because
Yeah.
as sad as it is to say, this event happens, and then the next call I could take could be your grandma having a heart attack, not breathing, and whatever, and then it's jumping back and forth between all those calls. So you can't fully focus on it. Like, you still have to, there's still a job to do. Kind of like with my military service, you still have to press on and finish the mission. So that's kind of how I approach 911. That there's still a job to do. There's still, I can't dwell too much on something, because there's still going to be someone that needs help. It's still going to be, even with as tragic as that event was, there's still other emergencies that are happening. There's still people that are going to need our assistance. And
oh, that's exactly right. If you're out of the game, and then that next call comes in, and like you said, it's my grandma, and you could be saving someone else's life as well.
So we want to make sure that everybody tries to give everybody the best service that we can.
It's hard though, Chad. I know, like, I think about this years as a reporter showing up to terrible scenes, and same bit, right? People would ask me, like, how do you keep doing this job? Like, all you're doing is going to tragedy and tragedy after tragedy, and you get it in a shift, boom, 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 nonstop of this stuff. And then to have a mass shooting at an elementary school, there has to be time, like maybe after the shift, or you go home, or you think about it, where you're like, oh my gosh, like, what is happening?
Yeah. On my drive home, I try to dump it as best I can. Like, I guess that's my way of trying to deal with it, is at work, press through. Like I said, some of it gets packed away. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the way home, I try to dump it. But then, the next day it's right back into the hopper, and back into the, I guess I call it, each call is kind of like a micro trauma, even though, I may not address it. It's, they slowly, will start adding up, and
right.
Be additional things to try to work through and deal with, and reach out to the resources that they try to provide. I know we had a bunch of resources come into the center from various agencies and different departments, like during that day of the shooting, just trying to like assist us as best we could as far as with what was going on.
Yeah. It's hard though, right? Like, there's that balance of, like, you need to be able to compartmentalize it so you can be effective. You have to be able to put it away. But you're right. It does add up, doesn't it? Yeah. Chad Howard, a 911 dispatcher. When you look at how things went that day, obviously we're all struck by the human tragedy of the 2 lives that were taken by a madman shooting into a church. Just unthinkable that that people would be so depraved. But I also think about the fact that, like, you were a part of this team that involved paramedics, involved a lieutenant who was willing to go right towards the shooting. Sort of the response that we saw in our community, I look at it, and we've seen so many other cases around the country where you're sort of embarrassed about the lack of response. In this instance, from what we know so far, man, it's pretty impressive. Do you look at how do you evaluate what the overall response was?
I don't think it could have went any better than it did. I guess I'm not sure as far as how much of that info is currently being made public, but EMS partners were on the local regional talk group, trying to find rigs, because we didn't know how many victims there were, and hearing the other statewide channels that we monitor and listen to, you could hear other agencies calling into us saying, hey, we're sending whoever, U.S. Marshals are like, hey, we got 6 guys coming. They're going to be in this vehicle. They'll be there. So just the people listening to the radio elsewhere around the region that were quick to jump on, even without being asked for assistance, and
Yeah.
were responding to the scene and just providing whatever services and assistance they could. So
You know,
I think that was just amazing, just how everybody in the region kind of came together there to throw all their feet in the fire to get there and assist as best they could.
It is a time where I think over the last 5 years in our community, people in the law enforcement community, in the first responder community, have felt like, it's maybe you don't have the support that you once had. But I think this is a reminder of really just the sort of everyday stuff where a lot of our first responders, almost all of our first responders, are just out there kicking butt for everybody. And I don't know, I'm so grateful, and we're getting a lot of response from listeners as well that are thanking you. But to have someone with a calm hand and experience and the ability to kind of direct traffic and be creative and think like, I got to get the map up and I want to get the right instructions. Like any one of those steps could have made the difference. And so I don't know. I hope you know and you feel that we got your back, that we support you guys as well.
Yeah, and I know the story only picked individuals, like a single individual from each agency, but there was more than just myself. That was a whole team, probably of a dozen of us that were working that morning that all fed into this, and then the EMS with all their different partners and fire. And
so dozens and dozens of people.
I don't feel like I'm a hero. I just was a guy that showed up that day and was doing my job. That it was no different than any other day when I showed up to work, other than that it was the school and it was a shooting. And
yeah, isn't it the weirdness of the job, right? It was no different in many respects from any other day, but my God, was it different also.
Yeah, involving the school and the church like that. But unfortunately, it's one of those realities of our world that we have to prepare for and don't want to expect it. But
yeah, well, I'm glad you're on the other end of the line, Chad Howard. You've been doing it for how many years?
11 and a half or so.
And you said with overtime, it's really
probably closer to 17.
Yeah, we could use a few more dispatchers, right? Chad, we appreciate you. Thank you for coming in.
All right, thank you.
Really appreciate it. Chad Howard, 911 dispatcher. Feel good when nobody wants to have to call 911, but when you do, I feel better knowing that Chad and his whole group of team, that they're there to answer that call.